This is 1970s DJ Bill Taylor from Chicago's legendary WCFL. Here to kick off another great hour of the WMOH Rewind 76. Keep the spirit. And it all begins right now.
Basically how this came about was Joe and Doug Urbeck, Johnny Midnight, they came in and voiced a couple of commercials for me back in November. And when we were finished, Joe kind of came up with a kooky idea for an April Fool's joke in conjunction with celebrating the station's 70th anniversary. And at first we were just going to go a couple of hours, just break format, go a couple hours, April Fool's, and go back to regular programming. Well, it kind of metamorphosed into going to all these people wanted to be involved in it, so it went from 2 hours as a joke to 12 hours as a pre-planned promotion. And he got all these people to agree to either come in studio live or to go on the phone and be a part of this whole thing. And Joe went through all of his old reel-to-reel tapes and dug up stuff that I didn't already had, that he had. Dug up air checks and jingles and pictures and all sorts of memorabilia from the Raymar years of the 70s. And that's how this really all came about. And this is the culmination of, we've had several meetings with all the people in that picture over there that really wanted to be a part. And that's pretty much it. There was a lot of planning involved in it, and a lot of I had to go through my playlist to come up with this week in April 1976 according to the WMOH charts. So what you're hearing is a lot of what we played, what the station played back on the air in this week in 1976. So.
Go, there's P. Michael. We get
and that's Bob Berry.
Bob Berry, there you go. We got Joe London in the back.
And that's Eileen Sullivan. And that's Jack Armstrong.
That's Jack Armstrong.
He's Joe's agent.
From New York, this is ABC News. Now, Harry Reason. Good evening.
The Big Bus, the first disaster movie where everyone dies laughing.
So they said. Oh.
3176 on 1450 WMOH. Oh, I'd like to hear some rock and roll. Joel Sella! A spirit spotter. Come on behind you. At any time. Keep dialing 1450. The winning has just begun from WMOH Music Radio. Say rock and roll. Joel Summer, taking requests at 863-6551. We play the best music 24 hours a day. Don't hum it to yourself. Let everyone enjoy it. Give me a call. We'll get it on for you. Hot chocolate. Oh, you're sure looking fine, Mama. I call you my sexy thing.
You're caller number 7. You got yourself 2 birds, 4 sandwiches furnished by your neighborhood double-decker restaurant. Maureen, what's your favorite music station?
WMOH.
John Sebastian. Welcome back home. There's only one thing wrong. WMOH ain't it too long. School is out. Come on. Oh, yes. Wiggins will be singing that song. Alice Cooper, School is out. The WMOH Music Radio. Why don't you get yourself up and boogie? Silver Convention. Get yourself up and boogie. Remember, boogie is good for your body. The best music. Okay, WMOH Music Radio at 644. I'm Joel Sella. Local Union 1787 Carpenters and Joiners will hold a union meeting tonight at 6:30 in the Regular Meeting Hall. And I'm sorry to inform you that the meeting has already started. Well, about 15 minutes ago. I'm sure it's a good meeting.
Good time rock and roll. See Faces the Late Show Friday and Saturday nights at 11:30 at the Sima West on Main. Music Radio, WMOH.
And the singers of rock and roll, Blue Oyster Cult, and Don't Fear the Reaper. 650. Congratulating Mrs. Sherry Hahn at Parent Circle in Swordsville, the winner of this year's Fun the Sun $1,000 vacation in Florida. A big thank you to all who entered, and stay tuned. Count the Cash is on its way to WMOH. And now, the final music selection.
WMOH. 5-7, WMOH Music Radio. Joel Sella bidding you adieu, and we'll catch you tomorrow afternoon at 3. Me, Michael Griffin, coming up here next, leaving you with Rod Stewart. And tonight's the night.
WMOH and FM, WYCH, Hamilton.
And just as one ends, another one begins. 7 o'clock at WMOH, the best music. With me, Michael Griffin, I got your chance to be a winner tonight. I hope you're hungry. If you haven't had your dinner, don't eat. Because I'm going to try and feed you tonight. Here's Thelma Houston.
1450 WMOH Rewind 76. That's the way it really sounded in 1976. And this is how it sounds now. I'm P. Michael Griffin, and on the phone, we've got the one and only, the greatest rock jock in the history of Butler County, Joel Sella. Joel, how are you?
Rock and roll, Joel.
You there, Joel?
Well, hello. How are you? How are you all?
Oh, you're in California, I can tell. He's mocking me.
Let me tell you, that's the way we did it, didn't we?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Man,
That's the way you did it, yeah.
You heard the montage. I mean, that's major market stuff. There it is. So,
How do you? Good. I remember being on the air, and P. Michael sounded great. I've been listening all day, and all you guys sound so wonderful. And I remember P. Michael used to come in and just pick it up and just run with it, and man, that radio station never stopped.
That's it. So, Joel, you're a good kid from Lindenwold, right?
Grew up in Lindenwold, yeah. Dean Langerman and I went to the same junior high and high school together, and ended up in radio at the same time.
I didn't know you guys went that far back.
Yeah.
And
So,
now I could disclose where you lived when the hottest rock and roll DJ was working at WMOH. He lived on Hooven Avenue.
There's a memorial there, a statue.
Right? Right?
Hooven Avenue, you are right. Boy, I tell you, P. Michael, you got the landscape down in the city. You knew where Dan Cameron lived. You were all over the place.
He was a stalker.
Buddy, it's so great to talk to you.
Dean, you don't talk to Joel yet. Say hi to
Rock and roll, Joel. How you doing, buddy?
Man, it's great to hear everybody. It's such a flashback. What a wonderful time. But I was sitting here thinking as I was listening to the station and all the memories. This is what radio was all about, right? I mean, it was feeling good and hearing a song that brought back some special times. And man, I'll tell you, today has been just wonderful. You guys sound great.
Well, Joel, there was something here at MOH that was not present in other stations. I think we all worked here. There's just some synergy or some brotherhood or family feel, or I don't know how to describe it. It's just
magic.
It's magic. It was magical. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I give Joe is going to get a lot of props here. Joe London is one of the true professional mentors that I ever came across in my radio career. Granted, I started in Hamilton, Ohio. I got that job because I kept going back every day, and Joe can remember the story. My grandmother, bless her heart, she said, if you want to do this, you just got to keep going back and asking him for the job, and he'll get tired of looking at you, and eventually he'll hire you.
Yeah, work for Bob.
Wear you down, yeah.
And he did. He hired me and ended up doing midnight to 6, where we used to run a religious show on Saturday night, Sunday morning. Scott Ross, I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was a contemporary Christian show, and I had gone and seen The Exorcist the night before.
I think Bob Berry was in it.
There I was at the radio station running those tapes, and man, I'll tell you, you never had one person more attentive to the gospel than I was that night.
Turn your head. Yep.
I'm telling you what.
All the way around.
Yep.
So Joel, you were here quite a while, and can you remember like the highlight? Well, I know one of the highlight moments. I think it involved a record and a flip side. Do you want to relay that story, Joel, and then I'll fill in the blanks?
Sure, I remember for people who've never been in a radio station or studio or understand the techniques of some of the music that we played at that time. Now remember, we played records. This was before carts. This was before digital, long before digital. So we had records that we spun, and over a period of time, the needle on the record player, the real basic, would burn the beginning of the song. We call it a cue burn.
Right.
So.
Oh, that's the story we're going with now.
Well, this is the truth. And we as jocks hated that burn because it would start out with a.
Yeah.
And you hated that. So I took the song, Pink Floyd Money, and I flipped it over. And there were edits on records, and when the A-side and B-side, the B-side was usually either an extended play or it had, some language that we weren't allowed to play. And then there was the A-side, which was edited, and we could play it. Well, the A-side was all chewed up. It was burn cued to death. I didn't want to play it anymore. It was like 2:30 in the morning, and I flipped it over and I played it. Well, if you remember the song Money by Pink Floyd, you remember the line in there. And the song ends, and, I'm sitting back, and I'm kind of looking up at the clock, and all of a sudden the studio door swings open, like the building's on fire, and they're trying to get everybody out. Joe, you want to take it from there?
Well, yeah, I was driving down the road, and so we don't have a dump button. We're live here. So the first side, it was blank.
One of the 7 words you can't say on the radio.
Well, the second side didn't. Yeah. There was no beep. Yep. And, apparently not a problem for the DJ on duty, but as my responsibility, I had to say, well, it fired me up. So obviously I came in there, and it scared the what out of you. And I said, give me that record. And I said, give me that record. Oh yeah, because they were vinyl. I mean, they were like dishes. So give me that thing. And I took that record and I whacked it on the side of the frame, and it splintered into about 7,000 pieces. You dove under the floor, and I said, well, I guess we won't be playing that one anymore.
I kind of doubt if Joel knows that as a highlight.
It's a highlight, the fact that the story just continues 40 years later.
Yeah. Do you believe it was really an accident that he played that other side,
If Joel said it was, and this is the first time I've heard this version of the story.
The cue burn
story. I thought it was Joel just being Joel.
I think it's plausible. I'm sure it had a cue burn.
Joel, I think you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I never saw anybody that tall, that early in the morning, wearing a trench coat, and mad as hell in my life.
So that's where Barry got it.
Talk to Barry Helen said,
I saw that trench coat hanging on the rack the time I worked here.
That trench coat's been around. Bob streaked Mary Helen Sutton with that trench coat.
Yeah, Mary Helen will remember that.
Legend, yeah.
Mary Helen's trying to forget it, but we won't let her. She's in there, she's going, well, today, Bob pops in here when Mary Helen was on and says, have you seen my pants?
I just stuck my head in.
Man, out of sight. So Joel, it's great to hear from you, but if you can hang on the line a minute, Bob has got one more of his essays, and while you're on there, I want Bob to read his essay, and then you react to it when it's done. Is that okay, Joel? Can you hang on?
I love Bob's essays.
Thank you. You can critique it.
All right, so we're going to have a Joel Stella critique, and Bob, this is it.
Is this it?
This is it.
Yeah, I'm a nervous wreck.
This
is something I call What WMOH Means to Me by Robert J. Berry. To me, WMOH is everything and more. It was my first real radio experience. My first radio station was WCHO in Washington Courthouse, and there I was expected to take meter readings, check the light on top of the tower. I'm not sure if I was expected to shinny up and change the bulb if it was out. And then also I was expected not to stir up the natives to a frenzy where they'd storm this station with torches like something out of Frankenstein. But that was my first. And they say you never forget your first. God knows I tried. My first real radio was WMOH, where my biggest challenge was staying awake all night, midnight to 6, which coincidentally was my air shift. Also, it was probably okay if a few people listening to WMOH from midnight to 6 were conscious, at least while filling out an Arbitron rating zone. Cybertron, maybe not. I love WMOH as a station and as a collective group of talent and friends. I modeled myself after Steve Butler, going so far as to mimic his gait. I'm talking about the way he walked, not the thing he used to discourage solicitors. I also wore lifts to appear taller, like Steve, so I could reach the listeners and the cookies. I stopped short of dyeing my hair red, as too many already pegged me as a bozo. I also loved Bob Long very much, and he discouraged public display of affection, as did his wife Pam. I admired, loved, and respected Big Joe London, but I knew there was no way I'd ever reach his heights, and I didn't even try on the lifts. I, on the other hand, was Big Joe's biggest challenge. I loved Dean Langevin because he was fair. I always wanted to be fair and avoided the sun, even though I was cursed as a brunette. I had to know, is it true what they say, Dean? He was oddly silent. You know, about blondes. Dean still didn't respond because he was too busy having fun. Sometimes he'd take me along, but I had to wait in the car. Rock and Roll Joel had it all going on. Just like his name implied, he was rock and roll. They didn't call him that by accident. They called him that because it rhymed. But he did rock my world. I had to follow him, and he was a tough act to follow. Sometimes I'd follow him from a safe distance, but I think he knew because he had a shrimp salad delivered to me, you know, like Axel Foley did, but no banana in the tailpipe. I was adamant about that. Then there was Dan Loftus, my dear Dan Loftus. He had such a hold on me that I wrote him every day, sometimes more. I wrote letters, love letters, fraught with emotion. But that bromance stuff was frowned on back then. Sure, there was Butch and Sundance, but I always thought Butch was a lesbian. To be safe, I wrote letters in code. So, to the untrained eye, they came across as silly and nonsense. You know, kind of like the work of a chimp who somehow got his hands on a typewriter. Good news, we're closing in here on the end. What can I say about P. Michael Griffin? Well, the man has three names. Usually a man with three names who comes to our attention in the public eye is trouble, not P. Michael Griffin. He was young, upbeat, a real pistol, and could go off at any moment, especially when the song Life is a Rock came on. He was fast, a quick study with a quick tongue, but what I envied most was his long, luxurious, flowing hair. It was right up there with Rock and Roll Joel's, and he was always supportive. He was there for me when I was chosen last for the MOH Golden Throats. What did you expect? He whispered. It's not the fact you can't play, it's your voice. Now, I'd also like to go shout out, because I didn't actually get to work with you, shout out to Johnny Wade, to Jim Nelson, even though he was hanging around then as a high school kid, to Johnny Midnight, and to Eileen. Finally, I have to include a few negatives about WMOH, like train tracks and the inevitable trains they attract, right across High Street. The tracks and the train did their best to keep me from arriving on time. Other than that, it's all good. That's why I get fired. So that's what it means to me. So what did I get everybody in there?
I think you could have done a couple of more minutes.
Don't encourage him. He's digging down into the briefcase.
Turn his mic off.
You know what? The only thing I regret about today is that, like, you and Dan Loftus and Steve Butler couldn't have made it in. That would have been great to see you, but I totally get it, but I wish it would have been cool. It was really nice talking and listening to you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed looking back at some of the pictures and yesterday and today, and wish I would have been able to get in there personally. And but Bob did send me an email earlier, and I'm shocked that Tesla has chosen Hamilton, Ohio to build their SpaceX plant there. I think that's going to be wonderful. And Bob, that could be a place for you to work.
That would be.
Well, Joe, it's great to hear the main rocker on the radio.
Yeah, it is.
And, we all miss you here, but, you might be popping through here one of these times. If you do, the lunch is on Bob.
Yeah, just give me a little notice so I can
get another job.
I can get a gig.
Joel, take care of yourself out there, buddy.
We love you.
I really appreciate it. It was great reliving the times, and again, Joe, a lot of congratulations goes to you, because for a little radio station like WMOH, a radio station with the hardest call letters to say for somebody beginning their radio career.
That's true.
That's true.
For that little station to do what it did up against Cincinnati radio was unheard of at that time, and would be it couldn't be done today.
Hey, Joel, I wanted to tell you something that Joe told me, and there's a couple of my bosses in Cincinnati, both times Randy Michaels, and when I first met him, I introduced myself, and he started quoting some stuff, because WMOH, right?
Yep.
He told Joe, he said, if you guys had a better signal, you would be kicking our ass in Cincinnati.
Yep,
Right.
yep. Well, my job was to set the plate, and you guys ran with it. And you, Joel, and just, all of you, P. Michael, Bob, everybody just, took the ball and ran, and you guys were so talented, and I thank everybody. So, Joel, it's great talking to you. We're gonna have to run along here. Those nasty commercials are pounding on the door.
Well, you guys all be safe. Take care. Let's do it again in another, few years. All right.
I don't have 30 more years in me, so we're gonna have to do it sooner. All right, Joel. Great talking with you, Roger.
Yeah, take care. Take care.
Great. See you later, Joel. Everybody.
Rock and roll, Joel.
Great music. That was Money Honey by the Bay City Rollers, who look exactly like Joel Sulla.
Exactly. I mean, wasn't it great talking to Joel?
It was.
I mean, the main rocker, and that montage when he had that, played. I mean, that was WLS quality all the way. And
he could rock.
Yeah, he could rock the house.
I love you, Joel.
There you go.
Awesome.
You're making me very uncomfortable.
Mary Helen is already looking. Here's the picture. You got Mary Helen, who Bob Street is about a foot away from. She's moving closer.
One of the great things about being here was we got to play our favorite song.
That's right. And I, being the PD of the day, have reserved the right to play this song, which I have promised I never, ever will talk over at the beginning of, and I'm not going to do it now. This is Big Joe London's all-time fave.
Music Radio, WMOH.
It was not an easy decision. I finally said goodbye after being fired for being habitually late. Stupid train! That was one of the days. Goodbye. By Robert J. Berry.
WMOH.
It's April Fool's Day, 1450 WMOH.